All right, it is the Matt Mosley Show, one of the faster growing shows in the YouTube universe. We appreciate you being here today. Scotty Swingler with me, as always. Reminder, we've got something big tomorrow. We're going to be at the Brazos Landing, and we'll be doing a live show, and maybe some folks stopping by to say hi. I've thought about reaching out to, you just never know. Maybe some former legends of the game come by. We'll see. I mean, you just never know who might show up, especially now that anything is possible. Art Briles returning to Waco for a sold out event. I like how everybody's saying, Scotty, this is not a Baylor. This is not a Baylor sanctioned event. This is not. And what it's true, it's not. It's the Texas Sports Hall of Fame, but more people are like, Baylor's. This is not a Baylor thing. This is not a Baylor thing. Well, I guarantee you, there'll be a lot of Baylor fans there, and it will be something. I'm in the process of a couple things are happening. I'm getting our Rogue laptop worked on, so I can go back to being in that 4K, that wonderful 780 or 1080p or whatever we call that. I want to get back to where you can see me in that way that you like seeing me. I don't know if you even like seeing me, but anyway. But we've been doing some workarounds thanks to Scotty and just my expertise from a tech standpoint. But soon I've been working because on this new show I've been excited to have. We had Scott Drew open us up. I haven't had Mac Rhodes on yet, and I've been in the middle of kind of lining that up. And I'm gonna, I mean, not that I'm gonna lead with this probably, but I do want to kind of take Mac's temperature on kind of where things stand with Baylor and Art, him coming back to town for the speaking engagement, and Mac may not want to have a lot to say on that. It's a very tricky deal because Art, from a winning standpoint, obviously, and just still has a lot of fans in the Baylor community, and people have a lot of opinions on how everything went down. But I thought that was a really good discussion we had with Bryce Cherry yesterday. And the reason I had Bryce on, among other things, because Bryce and I are good friends, but Bryce had written about it. I can tell after that conversation, Scotty, Bryce probably wants to write a column on this. He also knows, like, you got to do the risk reward. The reward is if you write anything about that, it's going to get a huge, it'll get a bunch of buzz. It'll get a bunch of traffic. The downside is with his opinions that he had yesterday, he will alienate a large segment of Baylor fans because his point is this sort of celebration of Art's time at Baylor, given how it ended. I think for Bryce, it's not the whoever's moderating this, and I'm not going to do it. Right, by the way, I'm not saying they've asked me. I'm saying, let's just say they did ask me. Part of me I mean, it'd be fun because I still talk to Art, and I still like Art. And I like Bryce Petty. In fact, I just was talking to Bryce Petty earlier today. But as a journalist, a long-time journalist, I might add, I can't do that. I couldn't do that for them and not bring up the stuff and not bring up the scandal. Like, it's not, you can't like host a huge event like that and not bring it up. Now, I'm not saying you can't, because whoever they're going to get to do this, and it may be Bruce Geetson, and Bruce is a friend of mine, and Bruce will do a nice job, but they're not going to delve into the scandal. It's going to be about Bryce Petty playing quarterback, what those years were like, how Art put those teams together. And again, that's okay. That's okay if you want to do something like that. But I wouldn't be able, and I think Bryce is, see, where Bryce and I are different, Scotty, I'll do a distinction here. We're both journalists, but when all that stuff was going down, I was more of a radio guy. I was not having to cover Baylor. I did write about and cover the Cowboys, but I was just a pure Baylor fan. All right. During the Art Briles period of time. Bryce didn't go to Baylor. He is not a fan of Baylor, although, like for anybody, like he said yesterday, he likes seeing them do well because they sell more papers and do better online at Waco Trib. But he can't, he only can see that story through the lens of a journalist. I can see it through the lens of a journalist, but also as like a Baylor fan. So anyway, this is going to conjure up a lot of feelings and and what I always hate is like it, it's just a lot. And again, by bringing up any of it, then it begs to do a lot more. And I'm not going to do that. As I sit here doing this show today, Scotty, I am looking down some of my books and I got a ton of books around here. All right. But the first one I see is Art Briles, Look It Up by Nick Eatman, My Journey from Tragedy to Triumph, which again is Art does have some tragedy to his life. And that's a fascinating story about kind of where he came from in his background. But it's part of the Baylor story. And unfortunately, whether it be basketball or football, scandals are part of the story. Now, Scotty, we do have Matt Hicks, Rangers radio voice. He and Eric Nadel, both really good. Jared Sandler comes on with us a lot too. And so we'll talk Rangers, the firing / parting of ways with Bruce Bochy, what that means, where we think the Rangers are headed, what we think of that season that just ended, 81-81. I mean, just average. As my old friend Glenn Stretchsmith would say, Scotty, average is a bowl of grits. Although I think grits can be of varying degrees of, I like the diner grits, and then I like those cheese. Like if you go to a really good restaurant, sometimes they'll serve something called cheesy grits, or maybe they'll put some hatch chilies or something. I think you can have good grits, but that's just his saying. The average as a bowl of grits. That's what the Rangers season ended up being. Now, by the way, and there's no way he would be listening right now to know what I'm doing, but right as I use that Glenn Stretchsmith saying, he calls. Like I heard my phone go off, and I'll have to remind him, Scotty. I mean, learn the Mosley schedule in the 1 to 3 time frame. You know, it's time to bug off. It's time to let me focus. Lord knows I need help focusing. I could have been one of those kids that probably, Scotty, you may have been one. I probably could have used some of that medication along the way. I had a radio program director several years ago ask about, he used the words mental governor. He said, do you have a mental governor? Because I think my tendency to go off on different things. Some radio people enjoyed that. Some radio people thought maybe they could help me stay focused, and it was usually that was a losing battle. All right, Scotty, but talking baseball and knowing Matt Hicks is coming up, goodness, at 2:00, we do have some baseball going on right now. And I gotta tell you, I love this time of year. Weather finally changing a little bit. You get some, the fall weather, and then we get playoff baseball going on. And last night, I'm out eating, but I'm also monitoring. Yankees had the bases loaded against the Red Sox. Top of the ninth. Bottom of the ninth, and couldn't get it done. I mean, and just to see Aroldis Chapman on the other side, he wiggled his way out of that thing. Fascinating. And then that Max Fried, the pitcher for, you had two lefties on the mound, huge pitching duel last night. And Fried goes through 6 1/3, and he was just awesome. He was awesome. But he'd thrown like 105 pitches or 106 pitches or whatever. And so Boone took him out. And of course, we all know what happened next. It was like he walked. They went to Weaver out of the bullpen. There's a walk. There's a double. There's a 2-run scoring double that Yoshida hits, and then it was Katie bar the door. And even though they had a great shot, they're late. The Yankees couldn't get it done, and the Red Sox. So this is fun. This time of year, Dodgers put it on the Cincinnati Reds. This is the time of year, Scotty, if you didn't pay attention throughout the Major League season, like you look up and go, the Reds are in the playoffs? What happened? I didn't know the Reds were any good. Wait, the Guardians? I thought the Guardians were way down. They were. They won like 17 of 19 games at one point to get back in the division race. They were 15 games out, and they came rolling back. And so here they are in the AL wildcard series, which used to be a one-game shootout. You remember those days. It's a little different now, which I think is fun. I think it's kind of fun. Tigers in the top of the 4th have a 2-1 lead over the Guardians. 2-1 lead. I love this stuff. I do, and I can't get enough of it this time of year. And again, the baseball season is too long. If your team kind of fades in and out like the Rangers did, that's the team I've covered the longest. You don't get married to the season. I used to watch every single game. When I was on all those years in Dallas with Galloway, Scotty, the young Mosley, there was not a game I didn't watch. I'm not saying I didn't miss an inning or two here or there, but I watched every single Rangers game. In fact, I felt like a fraud going on the next day. I used to be on with a guy who's on national now, who I won't say his name, and you could just tell he never watched the games. And then he would try to do radio and try to react. The people that, and I had somebody tell me, okay, I'm not going to mention that either. But the people who tell you they can do, especially local radio, when you're talking about Rangers and Cowboys every day, that don't watch the games, they get exposed. And that's not a good way to go through life if you're ever doing local radio, is trying to just watch highlights and do a show, because you will get exposed doing that. But the Rangers weren't good enough this year for me to just sit there and watch every day, every inning of every game. All right. And so we did Rangers some, but they were just so, you couldn't trust them. But those young guys did have a fun run. I hate that Bochy's gone, because I just loved it, but you could kind of see it coming. But I just wanted to I wanted to keep our eye on some of this. The AL West, other than the Mariners, who had that unbelievable season, unbelievable finish, everybody else has fired their manager. Angels did not renew Ron Washington. Sadly, Ron had a heart thing. He's 74. He's out. Braves just fired Brian Snitker, who's had some success there, won't return as the Braves manager in 2026. And Snitker was joined by his wife at the news conference. He said, I'm going to need a little time after that last out to decide what I'm going to do. After I got home and decompressed a little bit, I did decide this was the best move. He's been with the organization, 49 years as a minor league player and manager and major league coach and manager. 10 seasons as manager. Scotty, I kind of forget what kind of a run he had. Atlanta, 811 wins, 6 NL East division titles, 1 wild card berth, and a 2021 World Series championship. So I don't know. It was the Braves described this as a celebration of his career. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, that's always tough. That's always tough. But he'll move into an advisory role and will be inducted into the team's Hall of Fame next year. 69-year-old Snitker. I mean, Scotty, we're losing managers. AL West lost A's managers out, Angels, Rangers. They're firing old people. We may need to get our attorneys. Look at that Cherry Johnson, Sigmund James. We may have some ageism lawsuits ready to go because you had a 74-year-old Major League Baseball manager fired, a 69-year-old in Snitker, and I know they're trying to say, "Oh, it's a celebration." No, no, and the Bochy thing's a firing too. You don't think they could have brought Bochy back? You don't think he had another? I mean, he was fine. He could have been brought back, and they decided to move on. With the Rangers, it's weird because they don't know what they want to do. They don't know how much money they have. It's kind of what happens is like it's the good and the bad of not having a strong owner. The good is that when the money's rolling and when he allows, Chris Young to go out there and make all these huge moves, it's fun. But then sometimes he's like, "Hey man, we're not doing so well on our payroll. Let's rip this thing back. Let's rip this. Let's not let. So with Jerry, you get too much Jerry. You get too much influence. With Ray Davis, you probably don't get enough. There's got to be some kind of happy medium. It's certainly not whoever the Mavericks have now. The Mavericks are just embarrassing because they literally have a GM who has no clue what he's doing, and they were able to freeze out Mark Cuban, and now Mark Cuban is just a glorified cheerleader who now goes around telling everybody, "I would have never let this happen. I would have." Well, if you wanted to prevent something crazy like Luka being gone, you could have held on to the team. You didn't have to sell the team. So I love what Cuban's done. He's like, "Hey, man," he still wants the praise for the good days. And, I didn't have anything to do with this Luka thing. Well, he didn't, but he also is the one who put everybody in peril with the move he made. Now, I'm told by sources that Scotty has an incredible Campus Confidential set up today. So I am excited about that. But I wanted to give you a little bit of breaking news there. And Scotty, I also the Jerry thing, and and we can get into this. We have a 2:00 guest. It's a Rangers guest. Scotty, I'm missing you right now. Come back to me for a second. Do we?
You're never missing me, Mosley. I've been with you the whole time.
Yeah, I know, but our people they don't get to see us. So they don't know you're back there with that cap turned around backwards. Okay, do we have a little bit of this, Jerry?
I've got the two things you asked me for, sir.
Okay.
Ready to go.
Here's what I'd like to do. I want to hear the part where Jerry talks about the defense. And to me, this is, and he also, now the good news is, and we're not going to play this for you, but let me give you some good news. He's excited about Pickens, and he's so excited. I think he's going to start digging in and talking contract. I think Jerry knows he needs some good news. And when things are going poorly, ties and horrible defense and all of that. And I was on a show this morning, on a CBS show, talking about this very thing. Because the defense is just horrific. And Jerry seems to be trying to suggest. So Jerry's doing a lot of, we got this guy coming back. We got DeMarvion Overshown. We got Ravel. We got Kalen Carson. Look over here. Look over here. Look at our offense. Look at George Pickens. We're going to get George Pickens signed. So that's what a good salesperson does. If Scotty is ministry guy, really smart at all this stuff. The sales stuff, He's really, I mean, my gosh, he's good at it. And what he's learned already is if they come at you with like, but what about this or what about this? You guys aren't on radio. Boom, Scotty can zig and zag. He can move over here and go, well, what? I mean, yeah, but can radio go shoot a commercial for you guys? Can radio do that? Can radio put something together in a heartbeat? Can they put you on TV? Can they do this? So that's what Jerry is good at doing. Look, I know our defense is horrific, but look at this, and this. And so right now he's off. He's like, look over here. We're going to sign George Pickens. And that is an exciting thing to talk about. I think that would be smart to go get a Pickens deal done. And the Cowboys are talking about this. But the question at hand, Scotty, is they asked Jerry to do a sales job. They're like, because I heard Steven say this morning too, Steven Jones, Jerry's son. I heard him tell somebody, we're having improvement on defense, but it's not translating to the field. You're not really seeing it on the field. Well, who cares? Who cares about like a defensive improvement if it isn't on the field? What are we doing? Like handing out merit badges? This is like the Baylor stuff where it's like, we're seeing a lot of this in practice. You remember that? We're seeing some great things in practice. It's like 2023, mess. We're seeing it in practice, but we're not taking it to the field. Who cares? Nobody cares about practice. If we want to get back into some Allen Iverson, we're talking about practice. Okay, let's listen. This is Jerry trying to sell you on how the defense actually is improving, although we can't see it.
Myself and many Cowboy fans think that with this offense, there's so much pressure. You guys are going to have to score 40 almost every week to win. And the defense, with the help here, is not really going to truly get fixed throughout the year, Jerry. Help me.
Well, first of all, kudos to the guys that really got noted for how well they did play. Osa played well. 95 from Green Bay was, again, maybe the top or almost top best grade. He and Osa, interior-wise. That's a plus. Those are areas that in the past we haven't been able to say that. We're better on the interior as far as our down linemen are concerned. And with Clowney out there, who did some very good things in there. 41. I keep calling him 41 because that name for me is hard to get it out right. But he is coming so fast, and we're excited. And he's got the natural pass rush that you look for there. Sam Williams was notably noticed the way that he took on blockers. We moved him inside there for a lot of the game, and boy, he played well back there. From the standpoint of linebackers, we do have help on the way. There's no question. And plus, how a couple of them are really responding to just snaps that they're getting. We've got a chance to get better, but we're looking at it real close there. And, of course, and you hear it all the time, that we've got some new players literally going to be joining us maybe as early as this week. So there is help on the way on defense. More importantly, if you felt it, even though they scored 40 points, our defense improved as that game went along right before your eyes. And we did make some stops that were out there that were key stops against a fine offensive football team in Green Bay. So I think your eyes didn't betray you in that we got better as that game went along. That's what you're looking for.
They did not get better. Scotty, I guess you could say, well, they held them to a field goal at the end of overtime, if you want to. But they also let them rip right down the field to do that. They had them in 4th and 6. I like, for the life of me, you see, Scotty, though, that sales technique. Look over here. Look over here. Oh, we got people coming. He's good. Yeah.
So, hey, by the way, what I heard you say before the clip was that Jerry Jones is a worse version of Scotty Swingler. So the Dallas Cowboys should hire me and give me a job. That would be pretty cool. Second, But yeah, my first reaction to that clip is that's the most absurd thing I've ever heard. You want to convince me that in a game the defense gave up 40. We saw improvement and we should be encouraged. Like to Dave Aranda's credit, he could have done that after Baylor's performance in Stillwater and said, well, listen, in the second half, we only gave up blah, blah, blah. But no, he was like, that was unacceptable, not good, which I appreciate. I appreciate the ownership there. Like, just own it. This defense is the worst defense. It's literally the worst defense in the NFL. It's the worst defense in the NFL.
Yeah.
Like, there's no talking your way, Mr. Salesman, out of that one.
I like it. I'm with you. And, you know, I think most Cowboys fans, although some of them may be new to you and the Please Bear With Me podcast, I think they would sign up for Swingler to take over. I mean, I think they'd be.
I'm in.
I think they'd be on board.
And Matt, I will take over the Cowboys for 0.5% of whatever Jerry Jones makes. I will do it at such a fraction of the cost. It will be like the Doge of the NFL. I can do it for 0.5% of whatever Jerry Jones makes. I can do it.
He may not be taking a salary. Be careful there. He may just be when you're like.
I didn't say salary. I said whatever he makes.
Okay, all right. I'm just whatever the Cowboys are evaluated at. It's what you want. You want a percentage of that because that's several billion. What are we up to? 17 billion. I mean, it just goes. It's out of control. You know, Scotty, you bring up a good point though. Okay. Dave was more accountable than that. And later in the show, please bring that up again, because I had something that I think I can praise Dave on that front. Because as I think it was with you yesterday, Scotty, you and I do way too much, and we can't remember where we say things now, and you're way too young to have those issues. But I may be moving into that deal. But like, think about Mike Elko. Dang, you won 16-10. You beat Auburn. You know, Brian Kelly won 20-10. And the week before against Florida. And they're mad at the media, that mean old media. How can you be questioning us? We won a game. How could you be asking these questions? This is not what you asked. Aranda, they didn't even have to ask the question. Aranda at least walked in there and was like, it's not good enough. It's not good enough. I mean, like, now we've heard some of this before, but at least he's not, like, I don't know what I'd have to do to get Dave. At least Dave's not whiny and thin-skinned like them. I mean, it's impossible to get under Dave's skin. I mean, Parker Ream, if like some of that stuff Ream will get in, you know, it can be kind of annoying. Dave just takes it in stride. Like Parker Ream, to me, he's a man that when he asks a question, he'll be like, I'm back here, Dave. And he's a guy that could get under your skin as a head coach with the way he phrases things. Nothing phases Dave. And I think that's good and bad. The fan base probably would like Dave to every once in a while have a little, you know, Mosley, that's not a good, well, I don't know what you're asking. I don't know why you're asking. Because I've never had a problem with coaches doing that. Coming back at me. I mean, my gosh, my first coach to cover in the NFL was Bill Parcells. You think he didn't come back at me and make me one time I said, you know, how hard is it to do this or to you know, do this offense or play without a feature running back, without a lead back or something. And he put me on the spot. He said, hey, Mosley, why don't can you name the running backs for the Patriots? And of course I'm like, at the time I was like, Corey Dillon, they had a guy from Houston, you know, not obviously in that moment. I'm like, oh my gosh, how many, they had Kevin Falk, I think. But his point was there are teams that are doing well, and this was even before they started winning all the Super Bowls, but there were teams doing well that didn't have frontline star running backs. And he came back at me. The stuff I hate is not that. I'm okay coming back at a reporter. It's just like, oh my God, you're asking me these tough, you know, why not celebrate us winning 16-10? How about you live up to the standard if you are looking like one of the better offensive teams in the country, you probably should go score more than 16 points at home against Auburn. It's crazy, some of these guys, how thin-skinned. That Dave Aranda is not thin-skinned, and I will give him that. Some things he does infuriates me. I mean, his media policies and his even unwillingness to have any relationship with the media, like it's pathetic, some of that stuff. But his demeanor and reactions after games, I think is commendable a lot of times. Okay, where was I headed? Okay, we'll do some of that Micah because there was something I wanted to hear on the Cowboys. Scotty, we'll do some of that later. There was one other one I wanted to bring up, Scotty. We got Matt Hicks coming up at 4:00 at 2:00. But I do have to say on the accountability thing that we're on, LaFleur, coach at the Green Bay coach LaFleur. I got to say, because I thought not enough was made about the Packers at the end of that overtime, almost losing that game by standing around and not getting up there, and he made some great points. LaFleur took total responsibility, said it was unacceptable what they did, and basically said they were in like a no huddle mode on that final drive instead of a true 2-minute get to the line, get going. And he took full responsibility and basically said it was horrible and it was embarrassing. And I think he thought he had just about lost that game too. I mean, they were so lucky that the ball didn't bounce around more. I mean, Jordan Love and LaFleur and Green Bay dang near handed that game to the Cowboys at the end. All right, Scotty's got some great stuff. So without further ado, it's time for Campus Confidential.